Well, I want to put out this information because it's probably going to really attack the major corporations because I think a lot of things are entrenched rackets, and the way they become entrenched rackets is they give you false information a lot of times, and they have a patent on an item that you have to buy from them solely. Now, I'm going to give you some information as to how to really reverse age your skin, um, heal any type of skin problem, and keep yourself vitalized and detoxified for an extremely low amount of money. And it's very simple to do. This will work on any skin problem. I don't care what it is, even if it's acne or whatever. It could be dry skin or oily skin. And a lot of times your skin gets older quicker because of toxins. Now, I know there's the very strong reason of using nutrients to, heal the skin and rejuvenate the skin and keep the skin youthful and healthy by using nutrients from the inside. But there's also a lot to be said about items you can use on the outside of the skin. Now, one of the things you can use, before I get into what secret I'm going to talk to you about, but one of the best foods actually to take for the skin that's very simple is a simple apple. You know, they always give you that expression, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Well, an apple actually has a lot more in it that's beneficial to the body and the skin than you would seem to be on the surface, but that's not really what I'm talking about. I'm actually talking about topical treatment. And if we're looking at, say, a skin lotion, I would say the best to use is plain coconut oil. Plain coconut oil or coconut oil mixed with aloe vera. But what I'm going to talk about is taking baths in with baking soda, sodium bicarbonate. Now, the magic of what's really going on here is the bicarbonate. Well, you have sodium carbonate, which is washing soda, and you have baking soda, which is sodium bicarbonate, right? Now, baking soda has twice as much carbonate as the washing soda, and it's the carbonate that is really the rejuvenator. It's the detoxifier. It's the electron donor. It's the CO3. It's carbon with three atoms of oxygen. And it's what you're actually doing is you are oxygenating the body by using sodium bicarbonate, and the sodium itself is actually good for the skin too. You can even add Epsom salt to the bath, but probably if you're going to add something else to the bath water, the best would be organic apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar is the only vinegar that is alkalizing to the body. All other vinegars are, now I'm not talking about the actual pH of the vinegar itself, I'm talking about the effect on the body. The apple cider vinegar is the only one that has an alkalizing effect on the body. The baking soda or sodium bicarbonate has an alkalizing effect on the body. That is the same as saying it's an electron donor. It's also the same as saying it raises or it changes the voltage of the body to the correct voltage. In other words, an average body cell has a voltage, actually has a voltage. Each cell is like a tiny battery unto itself. If you measured that voltage in each human cell, it would be at a half a volt negative. That's to say it's alkaline. Well, by alkalizing the body and giving this electron donor to the body itself through the skin, which is the largest organ in the body, through the baking soda baths, you are actually charging up the batteries in the skin, in the cells of the skin, and actually, since it's, like I said, it's the largest organ in the body, it has a great effect on the body. Now, if you're very toxic and you're doing this, you're going to find that it's going to probably make you tired a little bit, and because of the detoxification effects. It's neutralizing toxins, and it's actually pulling out toxins from the body. Now, the other thing that's very good for baking soda I want to mention in this video is the teeth. The teeth actually will greatly benefit by baking soda, just putting a little bit in your mouth, even if you're brushing with it or just putting a little bit, swishing around some in your mouth, because Most problems with the teeth are really due to disease. Um, Cavities are really bacteria causing that to happen. I know people say it's the plaque and all that, but if you look in some of the cultures throughout the world where some of these cultures throughout the world would have this very, very, very good diet, and they're not exposed to things that um, cause the bacteria in the mouth to multiply more. Um, they will not brush their teeth their entire lives, and they don't ever have a single cavity ever. That's see, a baking soda can put a dentist out of business completely. I'm serious, but that's something you will not hear very often. You'll never hear it probably. That's a pretty strong statement to make, but really, I wanted to put that in there as an adjunct to what I'm telling you about. Baking soda is far more powerful an anti-aging method. Baths, say baking soda baths with some apple cider vinegar, is a far more powerful anti-aging method to rejuvenate the skin, to keep the skin younger, to keep you younger because it affects the entire body. The electron donor, when you're doing this electron donor to the body from the bicarbonate, it's actually the bicarbonate that's actually the magic of this. Um, it's it's oxygenating the body. That's what it's doing, and it will fight all types of microbes and diseases that are in the skin or on the skin that lead to aging, and also toxins that lead to aging. But on the opposite effect, it actually reverse ages. You can have various types of skin problems. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be oily skin, dry skin, age spots, psoriasis, or acne. Baking soda, soaking with baking soda baths for like an hour, whatever, a day. And I know they'll tell you to use maybe a quarter cup of baking soda, but it's probably better to use like a full cup. Um, you'll find that it's going to make those problems disappear. It is actually, I would say, I know in certain cultures they'll find waters that are like coming from streams, or they've been coming down, like they're way downstream from a glacier, or sometimes they'll find springs that come out from the earth, and people bathe in these springs, and they'll call them miracle springs. And a lot of times they'll say, well, I use these bath waters or this spring, and I was bathing in this spring, and um, it healed me up. Well, what's really going on is there's a chemical composition in that water itself, and even the water itself could be structured somewhat different. I'm not sure about that area, but even the water itself could be structured differently. That makes a difference where it's affecting the body. But there's a chemical composition actually in a lot of these spring waters that have these healing effects. And what's going on there is it's causing, the main thing that's going on is it's providing an electron to the body to bring the body's voltage to the correct level, and it's detoxifying the body. But you could do this with any water, even from city water, for crying out loud, because I know city water is probably one of the worst things because of they use chemicals to purify it, and but even if you're adding the baking soda to the city water, it's going to have a great positive effect on a body, because any of the types of toxins that are in the city water that you're using in a bath will be neutralized by the baking soda itself. So it's basically, it's something, it's a rejuvenator of life. It's really what it is, and it's dirt cheap. But if you look on any supermarket today and you go in there, you'll find, where's the baking soda? They hide it somewhere on the top shelf in the back, because people aren't buying it the way they used to buy it. Now, people back in the 1920s, they knew about this. It was more common knowledge. Maybe not quite as much as I'm telling you right here now, or maybe not the technical details of what's going on, but they knew it was healthy to take the baths in baking soda. But people back in the 1920s, many times they would only take a bath maybe once a week, and a lot of times they wouldn't bother to use the baking soda. But many people did know about it. Here we have all the technology with the best plumbing and sewage systems, which didn't exist 150 years ago. And baking soda hasn't been marketed, I think, I think Arm& Hammer, I don't know when it was first produced, 1868, I believe. I know baking soda's been around for 1,000 years or more, but um, I think Arm& Hammer baking soda hasn't been around. I think it was 1868 is when it came out, somewhere around that year. But back in that time, a lot of times people didn't even take a bath even once a week. But a fairly good number of people knew about the uh, the good effects of baking soda in the bath water. Now, I saw an example of a doctor who was alleged to be, and this was an old photo taken back, I think, at the 150 years ago, or not, maybe it was like in the late 1800s, I think it was actually, or the early 1900s. The doctor was alleged to be 150 years old. He was in these healing waters in this pond that he always bathed in, and a part of his regimen for his patients was to go in these healing waters, and it was actually in the Pine Barrens of New Jersey. Actually, in the Pine Barrens of New Jersey. I actually talked about that in another video. Um, but be that as it may, the healing bath waters have been known for a long period of time. Like a lot of times, water that flows into a valley, as I'm showing into this picture, and it's growing crops, and these crops are being revitalized with more nutrients and more trace elements, and you're consuming these crops. A lot of times you'll see, like in local communities in some of these areas, people have a longevity well in excess of 100 years. It's very common where people live way over 100 years old. And actually, we don't have perfect records on, the longevity of people. I actually put out about the Chinese herbalist who I think alleged to be 250 years old or more. It was amazing. But it may be very true. But here we have something very simple that anybody can do without buying high dollar herbs, without going traveling someplace to some, spiritual healing water, or whatever you want to call it, in this pond, without, spending all kinds of money on maybe special concoctions. No, anybody can do this. And really what the net effect is, it's really that chemical that's doing it, the sodium bicarbonate, where you have a lot of carbonate. The carbonate is carbon with 3 parts oxygen, and you have twice as much of that in baking soda than you do with washing soda. So really, and the sodium part too is actually good for the skin too, because like I said, you can actually add some Epsom salts to the bath, and that could be beneficial. But you're not going to hear any corporation marketing this stuff. If this baking soda was something they patented, and I can list probably hundreds of things that the pharmaceutical industry can be put out of business by just using this stuff. But just concentrating on skin health, skin problems, rejuvenation of the skin, youthfulness and vitality, and anti-aging of the skin and reverse aging of the skin, you're not going to find anything better than baking soda. By putting the baking soda in the bath water and soaking in the bath water for an hour, and even if you add a little bit of apple cider vinegar, don't add ordinary vinegar. It's not the same thing. Apple cider vinegar is actually alkalizing to the body. And I use that phrase, alkalizing to the body, because all vinegar is acidic. But remember, it's the net effect on the body. Apple cider vinegar is actually alkalizing to the body, because I think it's as it breaks down, the ash of the vinegar, the apple cider vinegar, is what is so alkalizing. You can even add a bit of lemon juice to the bath water too, and that again may be sounding counterintuitive, because it's going to actually have a reaction to it a little bit. But the lemon juice, even though it's acidic itself, is extremely alkalizing to the body. That is actually part of your master cleanse. cleanse too when you're taking it internally. But if you want to keep it simple, just plain baking soda in the bath, and it'll go an extremely long way and perform like a miracle against almost any skin issue. And while it's doing this, it's actually rejuvenating your body and reverse aging you and giving you a lot of vitality. But when you first do this, you may feel tired. The reason you're going to feel tired is because it's going to cause the body to detoxify and release so many toxins that that's what you'll feel the effect of. But if you got in the habit of doing this, you're going to find that your energy levels are going to go way up, you're going to be well healthy, and it's actually going to alleviate a number of health problems besides curing any kind of issues with, and that's a pretty strong word, any kind of issues with the skin. And, you know, if it doesn't work for you, I'm going to say it is going to work, but if it doesn't work for you, what's the cost? Pennies. Pennies. But for the vast majority of people, you're going to see a vast difference inside of no time at all. And they don't want you to notice because they got special skin doctors out there that want to sell you something that's prescribed. And there's always these people out there trying to sell you something now, beauty creams and everything. And I know those things aren't bad. Like coconut oil is one of their better ones. And that could pretty much, aloe vera and coconut oil, you can put out most of these beauty creams right out of business. But they don't want, if they, like I said, if they patented baking soda, the pharmaceutical industry's patented baking soda, you would hear 50, and they would be charging you probably like $50 for a little box if they patented it, and they would be, you'd be hearing 8 million commercials about it all day long about what it can do. As long as they had a financial angle where they were the only ones that can make it, and they can charge you umpteen dollars. But since they can't charge you, they're not going to make a nickel on it, not even a penny. Well, and also I want to put this one thing on the end here. I know they got these things out there called they have products out there called aluminum-free baking soda, and I get kind of aggravated when people talk about that. See, baking powder has aluminum in it. Baking powder. Baking soda has no aluminum in it. Then there's other products out there they call aluminum-free baking soda. What that is they're saying it's mined directly from the earth, and therefore it's not going through a processing plant that touches aluminum. They do not add aluminum to the baking soda in the manufacture of baking soda. They do not. But I can tell you, if you're worried about that, I can tell you there's far more harm going on to your body from all the plastics you touch, probably the clothes you wear that have like artificial fabric, that's made out of some kind of polyester. And when you go in your car, especially on a hot day, and it has that smell from the vinyl seats with the benzene, it's like every single food you buy in a supermarket or even in a restaurant touches some type of metal or aluminum cooking utensils or containers somewhere along the line. So, I mean, that's kind of a marketing gimmick when they're putting out, go buy this aluminum-free, quote-unquote, baking soda, because you can get the no-name baking soda from the supermarket, and you don't have to get Arm & Hammer or anything like that. And just a no-name baking soda for like 50 cents a box, it's got no aluminum in it. They don't add aluminum to it. That's baking powder. And they're playing a game when they're saying aluminum-free baking soda because they mine it from the earth directly. And I'm like, man, that's great. So it's, if you're worried about that, I'm going to tell you there's a lot more things to worry about because you're probably touching a keyboard that has more toxins in it than that would ever be in that baking soda that's not mined directly from the earth. And you're probably wearing clothes that have plastics and benzene that are releasing into your skin at all times, and of course when you go in your car and your vinyl seats and everything else. So it's I'm just telling you, don't waste your money. Just get plain baking soda. That's all you need. Nothing fancy. It's not baking powder. It's baking soda. Doesn't have to be any particular super brand that's better than the other one. You know, no name, no frills brand works just fine. So over and out.